Make sure you know every one of these key biology paper 2 terms for your exam tomorrow. First one, gametes. A gamete is a sex cell. In animals, that's sperm or egg. Then there's your DNA, which is just a very long chain of nucleotides. Since it's a chain, we can call it a polymer, and the subunits that make up that chain, those nucleotides, are the monomers. This twisty ladder shape that your DNA has is called a double helix. Double because it's made up of 2 strands, 2 polymers. We'll go into the extra stuff you need about DNA if you're doing triple in a sec. A section of your DNA that codes for a protein is called a gene. You have many different genes for every single one of your characteristics. We use letters to represent our different genes, capital ones, lowercase ones, and those different letters, those are going to represent your different versions of each of those individual genes. The definition for different versions of the same gene, so those capital and lowercase letters, those are called alleles. So genes are a section of DNA that codes for a protein, and different versions of the same gene are alleles. Those different versions, remember I said capital, lowercase letters, they can either be dominant or recessive. If it's a capital letter, that means it's a dominant allele, and a lowercase letter represents a recessive allele. Dominant alleles, if present, will always be expressed. So express a recessive characteristic, both of the genes that the person has have to be recessive. Remembering that all of your genes come in pairs, one from mum, one from dad. That combination of the different genes that you have, so the 2 letters that you have, that is your genotype. And then the characteristic they code for, that's the phenotype, the expressed characteristic. Pause here quick. We can use 2 words, homozygous and heterozygous, to describe the genotype. Homozygous would mean 2 of the same gene. Heterozygous means you've got 1 of each. So for example, capital A, that's homozygous dominant. Lowercase will be homozygous recessive. And then if you have 1 of each, capital, lowercase, that's heterozygous. Back to it. Lastly, remember I said your DNA is that like a really long chain, think of it like a big rope. Well, if you're to tightly coil that, making these nice X shapes, that is what a chromosome is. Every chromosome containing many different genes, many coding sections for different proteins. For combined, that's all you need. If you're doing triple, watch this. You remember I said your DNA is made from nucleotides, a big chain of them. Well, this is what a nucleotide looks like. Remember, phosphate, sugar, base. And there's 4 different types of bases. We use letters to represent them. At GCSE, you don't need to know their fancy names, just the letters. There's A, T, C, and G. Now on your 2-stranded double helix that is your DNA, the A's will always bind to the T's and the C's will always bind to the G's. And it's that very specific sequence of the different bases that codes for a specific protein. We copy that exact sequence of bases during protein synthesis, and every 3 bases codes for a specific amino acid. The sequence of your amino acids determines the exact protein that you produce. So that's why the sequence of bases determines the protein. And those are the key terms. If there's any you didn't quite get, let's go again.